Abduction in Des Moines, this time at Southridge Mall. John Stone will have the details tonight at 6. The state lottery is looking for ways to keep sales from dropping off. So lottery officials today took their concerns to the legislature. We'll have more on that. And today is the official halfway point of winter, but more spring-like weather in the forecast. Join us tonight at 6.
An American military buildup and an Iranian warning.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. There is a great deal of maneuvering going on in the Middle East tonight, but what it is leading up to, if anything, is not entirely clear. U.S. warships are steaming around in the eastern Mediterranean, not far from the shores of Lebanon, and the Iranians are saying, don't try anything. At the same time, it does appear that Wall Street Journal reporter Gerald Seib will be released in Tehran tomorrow. Iranian officials admitted they made a mistake when they charged Seib with spying while he was on an Iranian-sponsored tour of that country's war with Iraq. News of Seib's release came from Iranian Prime Minister Hossein Mousavi, who also had something to say about that U.S. naval buildup.
After a meeting of the Iranian cabinet, Mousavi said America must know that any kind of attack on Muslims anywhere in the world will not go unanswered. Muslims, he said, have the capability to respond to any kind of attack, and America will certainly not achieve anything from it.
What has gotten the attention of the Iranians is the sizable presence of the U.S. Sixth Fleet in the eastern Mediterranean, including the aircraft carriers Nimitz and John F. Kennedy. As NBC's Jim Miklaszewski reports tonight, U.S. military officials acknowledge the show of force may have no effect, however, on gaining freedom for the hostages.
This U.S. Navy F-14 jet fighter intercepted an NBC charter trying to take pictures of the U.S. fleet in the eastern Mediterranean today. The jets are the first line of defense for the two aircraft carrier battle groups operating nearby. The charter was turned back after it was ordered not to come any closer, an example of the increased tensions in the region. When 3 more Americans were taken hostage in Beirut a week and a half ago, the U.S. ordered the aircraft carriers Kennedy and Nimitz into the Eastern Med. The entire battle group includes 25 warships and 2 amphibious landing groups with 3,800 Marines. They're all within easy striking distance of Lebanon. Pentagon sources say new contingency plans for launching airstrikes against terrorist camps in South Beirut and the Brokaw Valley have been drawn. President Reagan recently ordered 1,500 Americans to leave Lebanon, in part, say Pentagon sources, to clear the way for any possible attack. Despite this show of force, military sources admit there's little the U.S. can do. They rule out a rescue attempt because the U.S. doesn't know exactly where the hostages are. And retaliation against terrorist targets in Lebanon would be difficult without harming civilians. Now there's concern all the talk of U.S. military action may have endangered the U.S. hostages. Earlier this week, the kidnappers released a picture of hostage Robert Polhill with machine guns at his head. They threatened to kill him and fellow Americans Alan Steen and Jesse Turner if the U.S. took military action. A separate group made similar threats against hostages Terry Anderson and Thomas Sutherland. The White House is now attempting to play down any possible U.S. military strike, and spokesman Marlin Fitzwater called for an end to public speculation. Some experts agree the saber rattling should stop.
The United States government has to show patience, has to sit back, and has to watch it happen, use the diplomacy it can. Frankly, there is no other solution.
In an apparent attempt to ease the tensions, the U.S. plans now to reduce its force in the Eastern Med by this weekend, with the warning that if the hostages are harmed, the military option, however limited, remains alive. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the Pentagon.
It is now 15 days since the Church of England negotiator Terry Waite dropped out of sight in Beirut. Today, Britain's independent television network reported that Waite had been taken before what was called a drumhead court of radical Shiite Muslims. That's a military court. It said that Waite is being detained on the orders of that court, but so far that report cannot be confirmed tonight. Also coming up here on NBC Nightly News, Fred Francis with the exclusive story of this man. He helped supply the Contras by making airdrops in the jungles of Central America. And Keith Miller tonight on the triumph of Dennis Conner, bringing back the America's Cup.
Patient dining table. Diagnosis, worn finish, no shine. Treatment, facelift.
Now there's a facelift for furniture. New Formby's Facelift, my secret for bringing dull furniture back to life. Facelift revives the shine without refinishing. In less than an hour, you can smooth away the wear and tear and lay down a bright new facelift finish that will shine for years to come. That's what Formby's facelift is all about. Making your furniture look alive and beautiful again without major surgery.
Did you know the last time you starved yourself to lose fat, you might have lost muscle? Why? You didn't eat enough protein. Protein helps you keep the muscle while you lose fat. And that's what's special about Kellogg's Special K. It has the highest level of dietary protein of any cereal. So the under 200-calorie Special K breakfast may help you get the fat off and keep the muscle on. Special K. Keep the muscle, lose the fat.
How much can you save on 18 new Buick models? It's your option. You can save up to $1,200 depending on the amount of optional equipment you buy on a wide variety of new Buicks. You'll also get something that isn't optional. Buick's new 6-year, 60,000-mile warranty. It's truly a better time to buy, so see your participating Buick dealer for details now. The amount you save is optional. The 660 warranty is standard. At Buick, where better really matters.
The $20 billion clean water bill became law today as Congress handed President Reagan a crushing defeat. Mr. Reagan vetoed the anti-pollution legislation last week, saying that it was loaded with waste and larded with pork. Today, the Senate overrode that veto, 86-14, following yesterday's lopsided override by the House. New York state prosecutors today charged a number of former officials of a company called Wedtech with bribery to get business for the small military contractor. But this Wedtech scandal goes far beyond New York. Federal authorities say that some former Wedtech officials have already claimed that they bribed members of Congress and other federal officials. NBC's Brian Ross has been looking into this.
This is a part of New York City in the South Bronx that most businesses have abandoned. There are few jobs here and a lot of broken lives. This company, Wedtech, was supposed to have made a difference, a big difference, bringing a lot of money and jobs to the Bronx. In just 4 years, hundreds of people were put to work here as Wedtech somehow won almost $250 million in Defense Department contracts. And the two men who made a success of Wedtech, John Marietta on the left from Puerto Rico and Fred Neuberger, were said to have pulled off a kind of business miracle in the wasteland of the Bronx. But now, Wedtech is in bankruptcy, virtually shut down. The machines left on just so they won't rust. And some former company officials are telling investigators what they say is the real story behind the Wedtech success.
And it's quite a story of greed and corruption, cash, stocks, and jewelry to public officials, a scandal reaching into the White House and Congress. Federal authorities now say as many as 12 federal officials, including 3 congressmen and a former Pentagon official, are under investigation for taking bribes to help Wedtech get its big defense contracts.
According to federal authorities and a former Wedtech official, the company allegedly made payoffs to New York Congressman Mario Biaggi and Robert Garcia, and Maryland Congressman Perrin Mitchell, who is now retired. Authorities say the allegations are that Biaggi demanded 5% of Wedtech stock to be paid through his son's law firm, that Garcia was given $75,000 in cash and $25,000 worth of jewelry, funneled through a lawyer in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that Mitchell agreed to drop an investigation of Wedtech by his committee in Congress after Wedtech paid $100,000 to his nephew's law firm. Congressman Biaggi and Garcia have denied any wrongdoing in their relationship with Wedtech. And today in Baltimore, former Congressman Mitchell said he had nothing to do with any money paid to his nephew's law firm.
No one in the Wedtech Corporation has ever called me, contacted me, visited me.
In Washington, a special prosecutor is investigating the White House connection to Wedtech.
Can't talk to you.
Former White House political advisor Lynn Nofziger went to work for Wedtech and arranged for a White House meeting to help Wedtech get an Army contract just 4 months after leaving the White House, a possible violation of a federal lobbying law. Nofziger was given Wedtech stock valued at $700,000. Federal authorities say that at the same time Wedtech was allegedly paying bribes all over Washington, company president John Marietta was at the White House giving advice to President Reagan as a spokesman for minority-owned business. And in 1984, Wedtech got a big contract with the Navy.
Wedtech
right after President Reagan, apparently unaware of what was really going on at Wedtech, praised Wedtech President Marietta in a speech.
People like John Marietta are heroes for the 80s.
Federal authorities say the hero of the 80s, Marietta, is expected to be indicted on federal bribery charges later this month. Today, 3 former Wedtech officials, including Marietta's partner Fred Neuberger, appeared in court in New York to face fraud and bribery charges.
People asking for bribes?
Authorities say Neuberger and the others are cooperating in the investigation of Wedtech, and that if the story they tell is true, the Wedtech case could be the biggest federal corruption scandal since Abscam. Brian Ross, NBC News, New York.
This man, Carlos Lehder, is in U.S. custody tonight. He's described by American authorities as one of the 3 most important drug bosses in the world. This morning, Lehder and 13 bodyguards were captured in a shootout near the Colombian city of Medellin. American authorities said Lehder's arrest may be the most important achievement ever in the war against the Colombian cocaine cartel.
Piedmont Airlines presents a phone number so valuable, you'll never forgive yourself if you don't write it down.
A pen.
This is the number that'll get you airfares so low, you'll find them hard to believe.
It's got to be a pen, right? Hang on, we're looking.
And you'll also get Piedmont service that's been rated among the best in the industry. So call Piedmont today.
I got it.
What could be simpler?
Is your breath a little strong? A little embarrassing? Are you tired of avoiding the problem? Then have a Milk-Bone dog biscuit. Every delicious crunch of Milk-Bone helps scrape away plaque and food particles that can lead to bad breath. In fact, no other leading dog biscuit gets your teeth naturally cleaner and whiter or your breath fresher. Get Milk-Bone dog biscuits because naturally every dog wants fresher breath.
It's exciting being a new mother, but now I have more decisions to make for my family. One choice I've already made is our pain reliever. It's Tylenol. The first time I was given Tylenol was in the hospital. They gave it to me after my son was born. Tylenol really took care of the pain, so I wasn't surprised to find out it's the pain reliever hospitals use most. If hospitals choose Tylenol, I'm sure it's the right choice for my family.
Trust Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
A New Jersey judge today listened to a tape recording of a surrogate mother, Mary Beth Whitehead, threatening to kill herself and her baby girl rather than give up the child. Custody of this baby is the center of a legal battle between her and the couple that offered to pay her $10,000 to bear the child. NBC's Norma Quarles was in the courtroom today when this tape was played.
Mary Beth Whitehead wept openly in court as she listened to a recorded phone conversation in which she pleaded with William Stern to allow her to keep her child. William Stern, Baby M's father, recorded the phone call while Mrs. Whitehead was in hiding with the child in Florida. It was recorded without Whitehead's knowledge.
I want my daughter back. Well, Bill, how about if there's no daughter to get back? What do you mean there'd be no daughter to get back? You made an agreement. You signed an agreement. Aren't I allowed to change my mind, Bill? I want my daughter back. Forget it, Bill. I'll tell you right now, I'd rather see me and her dead before you get her. Don't, Mary Beth, please, don't. I'm going to do it, Bill. I'm going to do it. You pushed me to it.
Lawyers for the Sterns introduced this tape and a second one where Whitehead threatened to accuse Stern of molesting her 10-year-old daughter.
She sounded very desperate to me. At that point, I didn't know where she was, and that's what made it even more frightening that
the Sterns say the tapes show Mrs. Whitehead's unstable condition, but Whitehead says the tapes only show how much she wanted to keep her child.
Never. I gave birth to that baby. There's no way that I would hurt her or let anybody else hurt her. That's part of being a mother. She means everything to me.
Testimony in the Baby M case is expected to continue for another 3 weeks. Norma Quarles, NBC News, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Pianist and showman Liberace died today at his home in Palm Springs after receiving the last rites of the Roman Catholic Church. He had been ill with anemia, emphysema, and heart disease. His manager denied a report that Liberace also had AIDS. NBC's Reed Galen reports tonight on Liberace's years in the spotlight.
Even a simple children's tune became a gala performance.
There was nothing subtle about Waladziu Valentino Liberace. Whether on stage or at home, Liberace made this video in his Las Vegas house. Glorious excess was Liberace's trademark.
I have a terrible habit of falling in love with things, like houses, cars,
furs, and diamonds.
I don't like to talk about things like that on the stage because it makes the audience think that I'm showing off.
He was, of course. Showing off was what he did best. Even before the report of AIDS, there was controversy. In 1982, Liberace was hit with a palimony suit by a young man who claimed to be his lover.
And there on the newsstands were these headlines, you know, and oh my God, how embarrassing.
Liberace's one-time chauffeur received a $95,000 settlement earlier this year. But through it all, Liberace's performances just continued to sell out. Reed Galen, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Organ transplants are a modern miracle.
Let's close. Good thing we found a donor. Can you believe there's a time when people wouldn't even talk about donating organs?
But the need is still critical. That's why Dow is funding a major educational effort to encourage organ donation.
Mrs. Simpson, Jenny is doing fine. She's a brave little girl.
Your sinks clogged.
What'll we do?
Get the all-purpose drain opener, Crystal Drano. Works on hair, food, and grease. Liquid copper may not work on some clogs.
Wow.
There's also liquid Drano. Remember, the one name to know is Drano.
Extra strength Bufferin for Steve's backache, Kim's legs, John's shoulder, Debbie's headache. It goes to where you hurt fast with an extra strength dose of pain relief for headaches and a lot more. Extra strength Bufferin, also in regular strength.
Stovetop stuffing in canisters makes a lot or a little in one easy step.
When you want dishes quick and delicious, you can be flexible with Stovetop tonight.
It's the right stuff, always enough. It's great for me at home with the TV.
Have it for you or fix it for two more. It serves from 1 to 8 just right. Be flexible with Stovetop tonight.
In flexible serve canisters.
On special segment tonight, Insider Story, a first-hand account of the secret gun-running network to the Contras. NBC's Fred Francis reports it was an operation plagued by mismanagement and poor equipment, and it was directly supervised by Colonel Oliver North.
Ian Crawford is a master parachute rigger, a former member of Delta Force, and one of the first men hired for the covert effort to fly guns to the Contras. Crawford, 30, who flew dozens of airdrops over Nicaragua last spring, provided these photographs to NBC News. He said the airdrop operation was plagued by poor equipment and bad management. Crawford gave the first eyewitness account of Oliver North's direct supervision of the gun running during a secret meeting in El Salvador last April.
There were 3 individuals who I later recognized as being Colonel North and Richard Secord, and a third member I still haven't recognized. We're in a closed-door meeting there at Ilopango with Contra leaders and Salvadorian officials to help streamline our command and control and to alleviate any problems that we had been having with chain of command and general management structure.
Crawford said North and Secord did not solve those problems and that the aircraft problems got worse. North and Secord bought 5 planes, but only these 2 were usually airworthy. When all of the Contra supply planes were grounded, an L-100 like this one was commissioned from Southern Air Transport in Miami to drop 16,000 pounds of guns and ammo into Nicaragua. Crawford identified Colonel James Steele of the U.S. Embassy in El Salvador as one of the planners of that mission.
Max Gomez and Colonel Steele and the pilot for the Southern Air aircraft with a map of the region went over information such as where radar installations were that could spot us,
Crawford said that this isolated airstrip in northwest Costa Rica was to replace Ilopango in El Salvador as the main Contra air base. Administration sources said that Secord and his manager, retired Lieutenant Colonel Richard Gadd, spent $250,000 here, improving the runway, building barracks, and setting up a radio link in a maintenance facility. Crawford told of 20 men working full-time to supply the Contras with everything from rice to bullets. But he said he was amazed the Contras received so much from airplanes with faulty or no navigation equipment, forcing the pilots to find drop zones by following rivers and landmarks.
They didn't have the navigation instruments. You didn't know whether you were going straight into Managua or whether you were going to the drop zone.
Crawford took these photographs of pilots William Cooper and Buzz Sawyer. He said the two who died when Nicaragua shot them down last October complained constantly about the faulty equipment, but were under heavy pressure from Secord and Gadd to keep flying.
I believe that they were forced to go in during daylight due to the lack of navigational equipment. The Contras themselves need as much help as we can give them, yet I'd like to see them get high-quality help. The majority of the command and control and management in the operation I was involved in, I don't think could be classified as quality. The main concern in their mind was to make sure that the billing was complete and that they made a little money off the operation. It would seem to me, sitting here now, that it was controlled by Ollie North in the White House. I was disappointed. I thought that the operation should have been and would have been conducted better if it was that high level of an operation.
And have you ever asked yourself why it wasn't, if it was that high a level?
I ask myself that question continually today, and I haven't come up with any answers, and I really don't know whether I ever will.
Do you think we'll ever get any answers, Ian?
No, I don't think so.
Fred Francis, NBC News, the Pentagon.
The White House has told NBC News that when members of the Tower Commission investigating the Iran-Contra affair meet with President Reagan for a second time, they will have a chance to see excerpts from his personal notes. That meeting could take place next week. The Commission's final report is expected in 2 weeks. Assistant Defense Secretary Richard Perle now has denied a report by the Pentagon that he plans to resign. Officials said yesterday that Perle plans to leave, but that he has given no date. Perle said today he'll stay on, in his words, for the foreseeable future.
If you're looking for a simple way to apply for the American Express card, simply pick up one of these, because now you can apply over the phone. Just call 1-800-THE-CARD.
Runny nose, watery eyes, congestion, and a headache. When you've got all these sinus symptoms all together, you've got sinus complex. And that's too complex a problem for most cold or sinus remedies. You need maximum strength Sinutab, specially developed to relieve all the symptoms of sinus complex. Sinutab, you'll feel altogether better. And take new Sinutab nighttime at night to feel altogether better in the morning.
I'm Brian Gumble. Tomorrow morning on Today, we'll be in Sydney and show you some exotic animals.
I'm Jane Pauley, also Rachel Ward and Brian Brown.
Join us tomorrow on Today from Sydney.
In 1894, a three-man research agency was created to test electrical wiring. In the decades that followed, it tested and set safety standards for products the world over. Its name, Underwriters Laboratories. Who created Underwriters Laboratories? You're going to be surprised. Your insurance company. We do a lot more than sell insurance.
When you need it most, you can get extra strength relief from acid indigestion with extra strength Riopan Plus. In lab tests, ounce for ounce, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. Extra strength Riopan Plus.
It turns out that in these times of government deficits, even liberty has a price. And that is the subject of John Chancellor's commentary tonight. John?
Tom? Got a call from an angry friend this week. Know what they're doing, he shouted, charging $1 to get into the Statue of Liberty. We're the richest country in the world, and they're charging us to get into our own statue? Well, in some ways, we're not the richest country in the world anymore, but I think my friend has a point. That statue is owned by the people of the United States. And now they want us to pay to enter our own property? What's next? The U.S. Capitol? Hardly. Members of Congress want the voters to see them at no charge. But the Park Service recently did consider charging people for a look at the Liberty Bell and Valley Forge. There are valid reasons to charge a modest fee at national parks for the use of campgrounds. It's fair to ask people who use the parks to help pay for picking up the garbage. But national historical monuments teach Americans about their heritage. Why charge for that? The $1 ticket at the Statue of Liberty is part of a test program which is supposed to end in September. The Park Service, it turns out, owes $15 million to the U.S. Treasury, and the ticket money will help to pay that back. That's really a nickel-and-dime attitude for a government that throws billions around every day. In the meantime, high school kids who want a first-hand look at a famous symbol of American history have to pony up $1 for the privilege. Maybe they should change the poem on the base of the statue to read, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." That will be $1, please. No wonder my friend is angry, which is commentary for this evening, Tom.
Thanks, John. And as you know, it cost a whole lot more than $1 to get the America's Cup back to the United States, but it is returning after a stay of a little more than 3 years in Australia. Yachting's greatest prize will return to these shores in the hands of Dennis Conner, who with his Stars and Stripes crew blew away the Australian competition, winning today for a 4-0 sweep. NBC's Keith Miller in Australia tonight.
It was a triumphant end to the 4-year campaign to return the America's Cup to America. Skipper Dennis Conner and the crew of Stars and Stripes celebrated in the tradition of sailors. Victory was especially sweet for Conner, the 44-year-old drapery manufacturer from San Diego. He was the first American to ever lose the Cup, and he was near tears in 1983 when he had to concede defeat.
I don't think there's any reason for America to feel that in any way they're any other position than number 1.
And Stripes is concerned.
In today's victory, Conner made certain of that.
I think it's a great moment for America, and a great moment for the Stars and Stripes team, and a great moment for the Stars and Stripes crew, and a great moment for Dennis Conner.
It has been a long time coming. Conner's pursuit of the Cup was a relentless mission with one goal: winning. It paid off. In Stars and Stripes, Conner put on a remarkable display of seamanship that drew admiration from his opponents.
Dennis is such an old, wily old fox. He's 20 years my senior, and he just sort of peeled away and went to the line as though we weren't even there, and I'd got a few things to learn yet.
With the lesson over, it was time to celebrate. Few people were willing to mourn the loss of the Cup.
Connors did a better job, and he bloody came back and got the Cup, and we've got to wish him a bit of luck.
The Australians now must plan their own comeback in 1990, the date of the next America's Cup competition in the United States. It's an appointment Dennis Conner already is planning to keep. Keith Miller, NBC News, Fremantle, Western Australia.
That's Nightly News for this Wednesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
One month ago in Minneapolis, it was a dominating Iowa offense that pounded the Golden Gophers 78-57. Back at home in Iowa City, the Hawks will be aiming to sweep Minnesota in Big Ten play this season. It'll be a critical game for Iowa. Home games are a must to compete for the conference title. Iowa versus Minnesota this Wednesday at 7 p.m. here on WHO TV 13.
Coming next from News Center 13.
Another attempted abduction in Des Moines. John Stone will have the story.
Governors from across the country are meeting at this factory in Osceola. I'm Kelly Eckerman, and I'll tell you why in a Live Eye report.
And Diane Roberts tonight on a warm place to stay for man's best friend.
Mike's forecast and Jeff with the sports next from News Center 13.
When the cold wind blows and it starts to snow, a tough new Ford is the way to go. They're fun to drive, and they work hard too, plus there's great Ford deals just for you. We've got deals on Ranger and Bronco too, plus front-wheel drives that'll pull you through. So if you live in the city or out on the plain, Ford's got a vehicle for any terrain. Because your Ford dealer knows that it's time to show that you're the boss, not the snow. Hurry, see your local Ford dealer today.
Take the 3 leading corn insecticides. Counter is one, but it compromises when it comes to cutworms by just suppressing them. Lorsban compromises on consistent rootworm control, according to university root ratings. Only Diphonate controls both rootworms and cutworms. Without compromise. Guaranteed. Diphonate. Control without compromise.
I don't have kids in school anymore, but these schools belong to all of us. Join me in investing in Iowa schools. It's our investment in Iowa.
This is Channel 13, WHO-TV Des Moines.
From Iowa's award-winning news center, Scott Pope, Susie Robinette, Mike Lozano, and the exclusive Doppler Storm Scan Radar, and Jeff Beimfohr with sports. This is News Center 13, live at 6.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being with us. A second abduction attempt in Des Moines in the last 2 days.
The latest one happened this afternoon in the parking lot of Southridge Mall. Even though the two cases are similar, John Stone tells us tonight they appear to be unrelated.
Well, police feel that way because the suspects' descriptions in the two incidents are different. However, both attacks happened during daylight hours in large, crowded parking lots. And in both cases, the suspects approached women alongside their cars.
Rebecca Newman had just left Southridge Mall this afternoon. She sat in her car eating an ice cream cone when a man approached.
And told her to lay down on the floor, pushed on her. She started honking the horn, and when she did that, he took off running northbound the parking lot.
Police searched the neighborhood north of Southridge Mall. They were unable to find the man. Newman says he's a thin man, about 5'9", wearing a blue windbreaker and blue jeans. He was not armed.
She jumped out the other side.
Yesterday, a man described as 6 feet, 200 pounds, held a knife to a medical assistant in Broadlawns Hospital's parking lot. He demanded her keys, but was also scared away and ran off on foot. Rowley says he doesn't think the cases are related, but they make one fact even clearer, that shoppers or patients or anyone in a large parking lot is vulnerable to attack.
A lot of people come and go out here. A lot of people come and go at Broadlawns if you go out there and sit like I did this morning. So it worries you, yeah, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it right now.
John, what is the status of the investigation right now?
Well, police are still looking for both men. The first took off along Broadsides in the woods down in that area, and the second, as we mentioned, took off north of Southridge Mall, and they're still searching those areas for the two men.
But they definitely believe that it's not the same man responsible for both attacks.
That's right. The descriptions are too different.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Governors from 4 states have brought the national spotlight to central Iowa tonight.
Iowa leaders hope all the attention can help our local economy, and our Kelly Eckerman is standing by live with the News Center 13 Live Eye in Osceola, where the governors are getting a real taste of Iowa farm country. Kelly?
That's right, Scott and Susie. Governor Branstad and 2 other governors are starting the meetings here at this Osceola factory, and 2 more governors will be arriving in the morning. They're part of a national task force on jobs. And granted, these meetings are going to focus on economics, but there's political motivation here, too. You see, some of these visitors are presidential hopefuls, and that makes you wonder whether Iowa and Osceola will really benefit from all this. Today, most eyes have been on Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis, a Democratic presidential hopeful. He's touring Osceola and says he's got some plans for improving the economy in troubled areas like this. Residents here say they know the attention will be fleeting, but say they're still hoping for big things.
I'm optimistic. Yes, I'm sure it's partly political, but when a town of 3,700 receives this type of coverage, I can see some good coming from it.
What kind of good?
All right, when an industry is looking for a new location, they might think, hey, Osceola's been making the headlines, let's go check them out.
Whether anything big comes out of this visit or not, Iowa will be a popular stomping ground between now and next year's caucuses. Osceola should at least be seeing a little added business this week from all these visiting dignitaries and from all the press that have been following them around. I'm Kelly Eckerman with the Live Eye in Osceola.
All right, Kelly, thanks very much. Merchants in downtown Des Moines are venting a little steam tonight about the Skywalk system. Tonight, Ralph Robinson tells us retailers down on the street level feel the Skywalk is hurting their business.
Downtown Des Moines appears ghostly at times. The reason lies in 2 miles of carpeted walkway known as the Skywalk.
It's much more convenient than walking outside, especially in the wintertime.
This winter's been pretty mild, though.
I know, but it's still easier.
Thousands work, shop, and eat lunch downtown without ever stepping outside.
I like them in the cold weather and in the hot weather because it's good to walk around in when it's not temperate.
But moving business upstairs supposedly has taken sales from street-level merchants.
What business? You know, we do have our regulars that are faithful to us and everything, but then you can't attract new business because they're all going to be up on the Skywalk.
Critics also say the Skywalk has created a second city for the well-heeled, leaving a grim city for out-of-towners to see.
The first level improvements that have been made, the Walnut Transit Mall, the Court Avenue streetscape, are an important part of the downtown as well as the Skywalk.
The popularity of the Skywalk pleases a lot of city shakers and movers.
Well, the Skywalk is the glue that ties it all together.
Business has definitely moved upstairs in Des Moines, but without the upstairs, business might have moved out of town. In the Kaleidoscope, I'm Ralph Robinson, News Center 13.
Well, you may not have noticed it yet, but Brandeis is now officially Yonkers, and that story tops tonight's Metro Scan. The papers were signed today, and Brandeis at Valley West Mall is now part of the Yonkers chain. Store managers say you'll notice changes slowly. Price tags will show the Yonkers name, but the sign in the store won't change until later in the year. Growing pains at the Iowa Lottery. That's how lottery officials described 1987. They told lawmakers it will take new games like video lotteries to give revenues a shot in the arm, as Iowans are losing their initial fascination with lottery gambling. And what could bring more than 8,000 farmers to Vets Auditorium? Tractors, plows, and all the heavy equipment that work the fields. That's what manufacturers are showing off the latest this week. Some tractors carry $70,000 price tags.
It's kind of stiff.
Kind of stiff, but I'm sure they go higher than that,
I don't
too.
think I could use one, though.
Well, Mike Lozano is next with another good-looking winter forecast.
And still to come, a temporary home for man's best friend. Don't go away.
Hy-Vee, shop Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee helps you plan great tasting meals on a budget. For the main course, serve USDA Choice 7-bone pot roast, just $1.17 a pound. Add Hy-Vee corn, 29 cents. Parquet stick margarine for the muffins, 36 cents. And Wilderness cherry fruit filling, just 85 cents. For budget helpers and service too, shop Hy-Vee.
Where there's a helpful smile in every aisle.
The Boss multi-position plow is putting snow in its place and winning friends all across the north. Operators particularly like